Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about onboarding questions to send your new clients as online business managers. So fun, exciting business update. I recently just signed a dream influencer client of mine and I have been manifesting her for years. So let this be a reminder to keep nurturing your relationships, your online friendships, because you just never know when that dream client of yours is gonna be ready to pull the trigger. So I wanted to film this video about all of the onboarding questions I sent this multi-seven-figure influencer client of mine, because having them fill out their onboarding form before you kick off with them is the most important thing to do when you're starting with a new client. Those pre-kickoff questions that they answer, they're gonna help you so much in the whole process and it's gonna set you up for success. So I'm gonna share the exact onboarding questions I sent this influencer client of mine. And if you're watching this and you're like, wait, I don't even know if I'm ready to be an online business manager for a big creator like this, like you do, Alex, you're in luck. I have a new quiz for you that I want you to take. And I'm gonna tell you, are you more of a virtual assistant? Are you definitely ready to be an OBM? Or maybe you're in the middle and it's now time to make that decision. So I'm gonna link that new quiz for you below in the description of this video. And I can't wait to hear your results. Okay, so let's get into it. First and foremost, what is an onboarding form? For those of you who are new to the online service provider industry, an onboarding form is a document or a form that you send your new client before you hop on a kickoff call. So inside this onboarding form, you're gonna be sharing important details about you, your business, your availability, how you run things. But it's really gonna be so that you can ask specific questions of your new client to fill out before the kickoff call so that you can study the materials, you can study their business, you can, see what gaps are missing and see what assets you still need from this client so that when you hop on that official kickoff call, you have all your notes ready to go, you have your questions, and you just feel so much more ready to begin this new relationship. It also just helps you start on the right foot. You can, if you use a CRM tool like Honeybook or Dubsado, I just started using Dubsado this year. I have been a manual girly for the last 3.5 years, but you could do something as simple as a Google Doc. That is what I have done for many years. As an online service provider, I would just create a Google Doc and I'd ask all the right questions and I'd leave a little space for them to fill in. It doesn't have to be super intense. You don't need to buy any of these CRM tools right away, but eventually you probably will want to look into Honeybook or Dubsado just to automate and streamline these processes. So yeah, that's what an onboarding form is. I go into all of these details inside my training programs, but that's a basic overview of what that onboarding form is and what its purpose is. So let's now talk about the structure of these onboarding forms. So how I like to do it, and this is how I did it with my new influencer client, I like to always start with a little intro message at the top of the form or the document saying, hey, I'm so excited to be starting this journey, joining the team XYZ. Please take your time in filling out this document and return to me by this date. Always give a deadline. People love homework due dates. And if you have any questions, here's my email, or here's don't be afraid to ask. So you have that intro message. Then the overall structure of the onboarding form follows, about the client, their business, general business overview of how their business is structured, team players involved, asset review process. Then I go into maybe some team management questions. Then I'll do task specific questions, and we'll get into the specific questions here in just a bit. But depending on what the deliverables that you decided upon and agreed upon with this new client, figure out what specific questions you need to ask. Whether that's, you're also supporting with maybe some social strategy or course launching or brand partnership monitoring, right? As an OBM, these are things that you could very well have an eye on. And so depending on any other tasks that maybe in the general part of this form you need to ask, that's where you can put task specific questions. So then I'll wrap up the onboarding form with a little thank you message. And I will also at the very bottom share my general availability, my working hours, response time they can expect. That is the basic structure of an onboarding form that I like to use. So now let's get into the specifics of the exact questions I asked my new multi-seven-figure influencer client. All right, so there's quite a lot of questions that I put in this form. Now, again, the more questions you ask, the more strategic, specific questions you ask, the better it's gonna be for you to understand your client's business and to really start off strong from day one. So it's always in your best interest to ask very specific questions like this, because you only get this one opportunity to start off with this new client, right? So this is where your first impressions start to begin. So there's a lot of questions. I'm gonna like put them up here on the screen as I talk through them because it's a lot and I want you to be able to screenshot this moving forward. So first and foremost, the about the client section, right? About the client and their business. This is gonna be those normal things like first and last name, email, Instagram handle, TikTok handle, website URL, mailing address, when's your birthday, right? I like to ask those things just to get the basic information for my new client. Next, we move into the general business overview section. So this is where I'm gonna ask questions like, what are your top priorities for the business over the next 3 to 6 months? How would you describe your brand personality, your tone of voice? Do you have any assets around this? Maybe a copywriter that they've hired created this document for them. I want to understand and read that as well, because as the OBM, I'm gonna have a bird's eye view of the whole company. And with that is, I'm gonna have my eyes on a lot of different assets and I wanna make sure everything is in alignment with my client's tone of voice. I'm gonna ask about her main target audience, right? Who are you selling to? Who are you educating? Who are you nurturing? Who do you want inside your programs? I need to know that as the OBM so that when I'm helping with all of these assets and in these meetings with the team members, I have a clear understanding of our target audience and who we're talking to. And then I'll also ask if they have any team members, which when you're coming in as an OBM, there's typically at least a couple contractors involved that you'll be managing on this client's team. But I always ask, for any existing team members that you have, please give me a brief breakdown of their name, where they're based, and just a very quick description of what they do in the business. This is gonna help me as the OBM understand the full team structure and where I am in it, and also so I know who to talk to about what. So now we're gonna move into the communication preferences section. So what are your preferred communication methods, if any, right? Sometimes people don't communicate at all. They text or they email or, oh yeah, we talk when we need to, right? These are all really important things for you to know as the new OBM, because you're gonna have to go in and make your recommendations of, okay, great, glad I know this. I think moving forward, this is how we should do it. And because of that, I also wanna ask, do you have preferred days and times for weekly check-ins or, bi-weekly check-ins, monthly team meetings? I wanna know about your ideal meeting cadence. And a lot of the times your new client, they will defer to you as the OBM, like, whatever you recommend, let's do that. I'm open. And that's also, totally normal. Asset review process is a very important section that I like to ask about because, again, as an OBM, you're going to be reviewing a lot of things and you want to ask your client, great, what's the order in which you would prefer this done? Does anyone review assets before they go live, or is that just you, the client, right? So if as the OBM, I'm going to be pre-reviewing things before they get pushed to my client for a final approval, I need to know also what are the key criteria that I need to be keeping in mind when reviewing these. Typically it's things like tone of voice, grammar, spelling, the educational topics, right? Making sure we're speaking to those ideal clients. And then lastly, how would you like feedback communicated? This is important, right? Sometimes maybe a client will say, you can just go ahead and drop your comments in the Google Doc and tag me when it's ready. Some clients might say, don't make any direct edits, but if you can just send me a voice note with your recommendations or bullet points in our Slack channel, let me know, I'll take a look and then we'll go implement them. Or maybe the client's like, I trust you, whatever you think we need to change, go for it, and I'll take one final look to approve. So it's gonna be very nuanced, right? Every client is gonna have their own preferred process. So I think it's important to ask that. Team management and check-ins. So that's our next section. What specific KPIs does each team member have? Because as the OBM, I'm gonna have to be aware of those so that I can ensure that every team member is hitting their goals each month, each quarter, each year. I also need to know what tools are being used for the team to communicate. Where is everyone congregating each day to touch base? Which platforms are you using across the team for project management, for asset review, for creation? So just understanding the tech stack that your client currently uses is going to be really helpful as well. So the next part of the onboarding form is where you can ask your task-specific questions. So for example, let's say for an influencer client, you are going to be helping with getting a course up and out into the world. So some examples of questions I would ask for that would be, what is your ideal timeline for this course to be launched? Where are you currently at with the process? Have you brainstormed? Do you have an outline? Are you just needing the slides? Have you recorded anything? Getting the details around that. That's a specific question I would ask for course support. I would also want to ask, what remaining tasks still need to be done so that I know where I need to be coming in. And especially, if something, whether are we live launching it? Are we turning it evergreen? That's a very important question to ask. What's your ideal timeline for taking this evergreen and things like that. As an OBM, you might be taking a look at your client's inbox to help manage all the brand partnership requests that are coming in. So that's something I've been really enjoying for my new client, is just perusing the inbox and seeing which brands, which partnerships are going to make the most sense for her business and sending it to the proper channel. So if you are going to be in your client's inbox, some questions I would ask for that are, what types of inquiries are going to be top priority for me to take a look at and respond to? Are there specific scripts you want me to use, or even email templates that you already have created that I can use? Do you have current system for organizing these? Are you utilizing any labels? What is your process so that I can start going in, cleaning things out? Because you guys, these influencers have hundreds and hundreds of emails from brands. Like, it's amazing and so fun, and also insanely chaotic in their inboxes. So I've always loved that. That's always been really fun for me, is like inbound responses and management in the inbox. Maybe you'll be overseeing some social media support and strategy as an OBM. So I want to ask, what is your current strategy for this account? Are there any upcoming themes you're going to be focusing on so that I can coordinate with the social team, with the copywriter to make sure we're hitting those? Are there any special launches or sales that I need to be aware of? What's the ideal content review process? So what is it currently? What's not working, and what would you like it to be? Or where are we missing the mark in terms of ideating, creating, editing, revising, and publishing the content itself? Maybe newsletter review is going to be on your list as well. Just, again, having your eyes on everything before it goes to the client, before it gets published. What are the key topics or offers or calls to action that we should be including in these newsletters? Is there a certain structure that you follow? Can I see some examples of previous newsletters? How do you measure the success of a newsletter? Is it open rate? Is it click-through rate? Is it replies to the email? Is it having them do something within the email or follow something? So there's always going to be, things like that I'm going to be curious about. If you're helping structure a content calendar and creating a content system, ask your client how detailed they want it to be, right? Some people just want very broad overview, and some people want very specific structure. They want to be, review it like this. Some people have a lot of opinions about things, and some people have zero. So this is why these questions are going to be so helpful to ask. Do you even have a content calendar, right? That's another big one. Some influencers are like, oh, I just kind of like post on the fly. Great, that's really good to know as an OBM, because you're gonna have to figure out a way to visually map things out so that you know where every piece of content is and what status it's in at any given time. And then it's time to wrap up the onboarding form. So you've asked all your main questions. Now, this is where I like to share any final questions to ask my clients. So something I did for this client that was new in my onboarding forms, but I'm going to continue to do moving forward, is asking what my clients confirmed or upcoming travel plans they have, especially working with a travel influencer who is constantly jet setting around the globe. I need to know what their most immediate upcoming trips are, or if anything's confirmed, so I can put that in my calendar and plan accordingly for when they're out of office, which team member, I can go to while my client's gone. So I love that question. I highly recommend asking your clients that. I also like to ask, what does the ideal onboarding process look like for you? Like, are you cool with multiple calls? Are you wanting me to take off and start running things next week? Are you wanting to hop on one call each week for the next few weeks while I begin to study? Most clients will answer this whatever you need, just let me know, we're available. So that is always just a nice question to ask. And then the very last question is there anything else you'd like me to know before we kick off? So I always like to ask that in case maybe I didn't ask something that I needed to. They can always share any information there that they want to pass along to me. And then at the very, very bottom of this onboarding form, I will list my availability and my communication expectations. So this is where I'm going to share my working hours, my response time, where I'm based so they know what time zone I'm in. I will share any upcoming immediate out of office dates that were already pre-confirmed before kicking off with them. And I'll also tell them, you know, for any future time off or out of office dates, I will give you more than enough notice, at least, you know, 3 to 4 weeks notice for any out of office dates. And then I will also share my cell phone number for emergencies only. And that's the onboarding form. It is lengthy, but oh my gosh, this client got the onboarding form, filled it out, turned it in within, you know, a day or two. I had 2 or 3 days to really sit with it, study it, make my notes, and our kickoff call was so good because I was prepared, they were ready to go, they knew what I needed, we figured out what was missing and what needed to be added, and it just has helped me kick off with them so much more. I felt confident going into this. I felt like I got a good grasp on the business before really starting with them. And it has just been such a fun, I think I'm like almost a month now working with them. So it's still so new. I'm still learning so much as I go. And I love kicking off with new clients, but I also hate it because I just want to be so good at everything right away, but that is just not how it works. It takes time to find your groove, to understand the systems, to really kind of get the lay of the land and learn the ropes. So I will keep you updated on this new client relationship. It has been so fun so far. I'm so excited to grow with this client and her massive team. You guys, I've never worked with a client that has this much going on all at once between brand partnerships and product launches and travel plans and just the massive amount of reach that she has across her audiences. It is so exciting to be a part of this, and truly I've been manifesting her for a few years now. So keep showing up for yourself, keep putting yourself out there. Let me know what questions you have about finding these clients, nurturing these relationships, how to have a killer kickoff call. And again, take my influencer support quiz that I've linked below if you're just not sure where you're at, whether you're a VA, whether you're an OBM, whether you're stuck in the middle and need to figure out how to make that jump. This quiz is gonna give you all that information, and we're gonna give you some really awesome free resources based on the results that you get. So excited for you to take that quiz. Thank you for following along. Don't forget to subscribe, and please come say hi on Instagram so we can be friends. I hope you all are having a beautiful, beautiful week so far, and I will see you in my next video.